Hey guys, Mr. Is here to help you on the next section in Algebra 2. Here we're looking at slopes. Our goal is to make sure that you guys can find the slope between two given points on a line. All right, so slope goes by a lot of different names. First off, the symbol or the letter that we use for slope is M. I couldn't tell you why it's M. Maybe it stands for magnitude or something like that, but I really would like to know. Another way that we look at slope is the rate of change. All right, so when we're looking at story problems, any amount that it changes, like per thing or something like that, that's going to be your slope. So a rate of change is going to be your slope. And then another way that we will talk about this, and this is typically how people think about, is rise over run. And there is an equation to help us figure out rise over run. That is our y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. Now, what that means is we have 2 points, and each point has an x and a y. So the first point is our x1, y1, because that's our first point with the first x's and first y's. And then our other point is our x2, y2, because that has an x and y. So you're going to take the second y minus the first y divided by the second x divided by the first x. So the one thing also to note about slope is that we have 4 different types of slopes. First off, if we have slopes that go up from left to right, we call those positive slopes. And if they fall from left to right, we call those negative slopes. All right, if we have a flat horizontal line that isn't going up or going down, sometimes we can call this no slope or zero slope. Like if you think about it, if you're just walking on a flat surface, there's no slope to that. And then a vertical line is undefined. All right, we can't walk on a wall. We're not Spider-Man. All right, it could be really, really steep, but that's not a wall anymore. We can walk into it, it's undefined. We just can't do anything with that. All right, so let's first look at the slopes here on a graph. So if we're just looking at slopes on a graph, this is real nice and easy because we can just do rise over run. What we just need to do is to find 2 clearly defined points. All right, so if I'm looking at this graph here, I can find those 2. And we're going to first count how far up we go. So in this one, we go 1, 2, 3, 4. So our rise is 4. And then how far over? 1, 2, 3. 4 over 3. All right, so we will get a fraction. It's best to leave it as a fraction. So we would say this has a slope of 4 over 3, which is a positive number, and the graph is going up. Now on this next one here, we can go through and find 2 clearly defined points. And the one thing, I'm going to just pick 2 here, and you'll see it really doesn't matter which 2 you pick because of the last step you have to do. All right, now in this problem, we'd have to go down. And if you ever have to go down, you say negative. And then to the right, 3. All right, so this is a negative 3 over 3. One thing we want to do is to reduce our fraction. And if you ever use a graphing calculator, if you press the math enter button, it reduces it for you. Also, a lot of calculators will have a little fraction symbol to help you reduce. But if we reduce negative 3 over 3, that is just negative 1. If you want to put negative 1 over 1, that's fine. And there's our answer. So it's negative 1 slope, and which makes sense because the graph is going down. All right, next, let's look at this one here. We know it's going to be a positive answer. If you want to try to pause the video on your own and try to do it, feel free. All right, got a nice clean point there. And then if I'm looking for another point here, okay, it's right here. All right, I'm going to count how far up I got to go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 up. How far over? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 over 5. 6 over 5 doesn't reduce. That's it. All right, so one way that we can look at slopes is with the graph. Another way that we can look at slopes is with an equation. Now, the nice thing about all these equations that these equations are listed into slope-intercept form. Slope-intercept form, we're going to learn how to solve for it later on. But right now, the general equation that you guys need to know is that it's y equals mx plus b, where m, we kind of talked about that earlier, is the slope, and the b, what we talked about in the last section, is the y-intercept. Now, if we're just finding the slope, all we need to do is just find the number next to the x. All right, so this one here, the slope would be 3, because that's the number next to the x. This one here, all right, what's the slope of that? All right, that would be -1/2. And this last one here, what's the number next to the x? Technically, it is 1. So these are really easy to do, especially if the y is already by itself. The only time this becomes difficult is if you have an equation that you have to solve for y. Hey, Maddie. All right, so last thing we're going to do here before you practice some problems on your own is to find the slope given 2 points. So we're going to use the equation of y sub 2 minus y sub 1 over x sub 2 minus x sub 1. We'll do the first one together, and then if you want to pause the video, try it on your own, you sure can. All right, so we're going to take the y's and subtract them. We're going to do 1 minus 4 over, then take the x's, 8 minus 5. The one thing you must do is make sure you go in the same order. All right, 1 minus 4 is -3. 8 minus 5 is +3. And then you need to reduce the fraction. Hey, we did this one earlier. It's -1. All right, if you want to pause the video, try the next ones on your own, you can. And I'm going to go ahead and do them. All right, next one, we got subtract the y's. We're going to do -2 minus +2. And then subtract the x's. We got -2 minus +2. All right, well, that's nice because we get -4 over -4. -4 divided by -4 becomes a +1. All right, last one here. Let's subtract the y's. We got -4 minus 3. And then we got 9 minus 9. And so we get -4 minus 3 is -7. 9 minus 9 is 0. And -7 divided by 0 is not 0. It is actually an error. So we're going to say that this is undefined. That'd be a vertical line. So one thing to watch out for is that you can have 0 on the top. That's good. You just can't have 0 on the bottom. All right, so this wraps up the notes here. You guys have your practice problems that you guys will do on the CYU. Not too bad. And if you have questions, ask. If not, thanks for watching the video, and I'll see you next time.